In this week's news, calls for clemency for Australians on death row, fresh mattresses and linen for Ebola survivors, and warm fellowship in Romania's ICE church.
This is InFocus Christian News and Current Affairs.
Religious leaders in Australia have added their voices to pleas for the Indonesian government to step back from its plans to execute 2 convicted drug smugglers. Indonesian authorities say Sydney-born men Andrew Chan and Mayuran Sukumaran will face a firing squad sometime this month for their part in the Bali 9 heroin smuggling attempt. According to the ABC, Sydney's Catholic Archbishop Anthony Fisher and the Grand Mufti of Australia Ibrahim Abu Muhammad have spoken out together, asking the Indonesian government to consider that a commuted death sentence would give the prisoners time for more rehabilitation and repentance. Andrew Chan has become a born-again Christian while in prison and has been leading out in Bible studies and chapel services. Dozens of Christians and church workers were recognised during last month's Australia Day honours for their services to the community in a variety of endeavours. Among those awarded were 3 individuals associated with the Sydney Adventist Hospital. Philanthropist Norma Rosenheim was recognised for her support of disadvantaged families in Asia. Her generosity is also felt at home. Last year she made significant donations towards the establishment of a healing garden for cancer patients at the hospital. Professor John Watson, the head of Avondale College's Clinical Education School on hospital grounds, was recognised for his contribution to neurology and medical education. And another doctor, Neil Street, was awarded for his work as a paediatric anaesthetist, particularly in connection with his volunteer work with the hospital's health outreach charity, Open Heart International. Although West Africa's Ebola epidemic now appears to be under control, Christian aid agencies are still hard at work, partnering with other NGOs and governments to contain the outbreak. In Sierra Leone, the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, or ADRA, is involved in an innovative project, replacing mattresses and bedding that may carry traces of the virus. Since November, nearly 1,000 homes have been decontaminated. In Liberia, ADRA is carrying out similar work and recently provided affected families with $110,000 worth of new mattresses, cleaning supplies and food parcels. ADRA has also been active closer to home, with workers from New Zealand assisting Fijian communities to prepare for cyclone season. A number of community disaster management committees have now been established on Fiji's main island of Viti Levu. The committees are planning evacuation routes and emergency accommodation for their regions.
The communities themselves actually see the importance of having these committees and the planning that goes along with it, because most of them have experienced disasters and they know that the need is there and they know of the importance of being prepared and having a plan in place.
While the crisis continues for Christians living in areas of Iraq controlled by ISIS, the extremist group is also having a devastating impact on the cultural and religious heritage of the nation. According to Radio Vaticana, ISIS has deliberately destroyed one of the largest and oldest churches in Mosul. Local police say they witnessed the Chaldean Catholic Church of the Immaculate Virgin being wired with explosives by ISIS fighters. The resulting blast largely demolished the church, as well as damaging nearby buildings. The United Nations has marked World Interfaith Week with an emphasis on dialogue, cooperation and solidarity in the face of violence and discrimination. UN leaders said too many communities around the world face intolerance and harassment because of their faith. They condemned leaders who manipulate people's religious feelings in order to gain political advantage. The UN representatives called on religious leaders to use their influence to work towards cooperation, learning and sustainable development. In recent decades, a new wave of church plants in homes, parks and even the pub has raised hopes of reversing Christianity's decline in the West. But research from the UK suggests that these fresh expressions of church are no better, or worse, at attracting new converts than more traditional evangelistic methods. According to Christian Today, a comparison of 5 traditional parishes with 5 innovative church plants found that both were growing at around the same rate. Critics of the research, however, say that in many home or cafe churches, up to 75% of members were not previously attending any church, a number that mainstream churches would find hard to match. As plans are finalised for this July's worldwide decision-making meeting of Seventh-day Adventist representatives, new technologies are making their presence felt. Historically, votes at the 5 yearly General Conference session meetings have been made by raising voting cards or submitting secret ballot papers. This year, the group of nearly 2,600 delegates will vote by pressing a button on an electronic device. The benefits? Each vote is basically a secret one, and the results can be tallied immediately and accurately, and displayed on a big screen.
You know, there are some delegates who come to vote, and they are under very serious pressure to vote in a certain way because of the people around them. And you know, when you lift up your card, then everybody sees. But now they can just press the button and nobody needs to know what they have voted, so they can vote from their conscience.
Ever found your church building uncomfortably cold? Well, spare a thought for the faithful, worshipping at a small chapel in Romania made entirely from ice. According to the Australian newspaper, you can only get to Romania's ice church via cable car. It's in the mountains at an altitude of 2,000 metres. For the last few winters, builders have carved out blocks of ice from a lake near the capital, Bucharest, and had them blessed before transporting them up the mountain. The chapel is enjoyed by Orthodox, Catholic and Protestant visitors, who say that surprisingly, relations between the churches are chillier down in the valley. And that's the news for this week. Thanks for watching.